Do Lakers have enough as is? Kendrick Perkins. Let me read this for everybody. There was a couple quotes here that I thought were interesting. Here's Kendrick Perkins talking about the Lakers, talking about kind of their situation, where they're at, and everything else. Here's what he said. The Lakers are right there. Matter of fact, to be honest, I don't believe that they need anything else. I don't think they need a damn thing. As long as they have an engaged Luka, which seems like they have, and LeBron James, that's going to be engaged as well, who I believe is going to be on the Lakers roster next year. They got a shot. They got an effing shot in there. I think there's some differences between do they have a shot versus do they need anything else. I think there's a big difference between the two of those. He also goes on to say, if anybody tells you different, they're lying to themselves or just hating. Luka Doncic being in the best shape elevates the Lakers to another level, period. So I know some people have their opinions and their thoughts on Kendrick Perkins. This is the last couple of times I've brought up Kendrick Perkins. He's had a lot of positive things to say about the Lakers. One of the things he's talked about is he thinks Luka's going to win the MVP this upcoming season. And then obviously him saying that the Lakers have enough. There's a piece of what he said that I think is most important to me. He said, as long as, and he goes into Luka, LeBron, everything else, they got a effing shot in there. I think there's a big difference between you have a shot and you're one of 5 teams that you would say are the favorites to win it all. If you want to go less than that, 4 teams to win it all, 3 teams to win it all. I think there's a lot of teams that technically, by the books, have a shot. If I look at the NBA right now, would you say do the Clippers have a shot? Yeah, they have a shot of winning it all. Does Minnesota have a shot? Yeah, I think Minnesota's got a shot of winning it all. I mean, just depends how deep in the West that you want to go. If you want to look at the Eastern Conference, do the Knicks have a shot? Of course they have a shot. Do the Bucks have a shot? They have a shot. I think I just don't like the term they have a shot. Because if you're going to say that the Lakers have enough as is, and then you apply to it, they have a shot, then to me, it's like they need more. What you're not saying is, hey, this is the favorite to come out of the Western Conference or one of the top 2-3 teams to come out of the Western Conference. And the Lakers aren't. I mean, you guys can we can play all the games that we want and say, but because of this and because of that, and if this happens and if that happens, I think for the Lakers, I think what they've done this summer, I think it's been really good. I think it's been a very smart, strategic offseason that handled specific needs that the Lakers had. I think that part nobody can argue. But I think the piece of they have a shot and they're good enough as is, I don't think those connect. Because what I would tell you is they can hang in the Western Conference and they can make some noise. But what I would also tell you is they need more. And the beauty of their offseason and the reason why, yesterday I had Dave McMenamin on. By the way, shout out to Dave. This guy gets pulled in so many different directions. He's doing a lot of different things. Obviously, I've built up a relationship with Dave over the years. But shout out to him for coming on the channel yesterday. That was great for him. That was great to have him on there. But I think the thing that makes the most sense, and one of the things Dave McMenamin and I were talking about yesterday, we were talking about how what made the offseason successful for the Lakers, in my opinion, is they still got all their assets. What I think made the Lakers put themselves in a good position for this upcoming season, it's not just that, well, they got Ayton for $8 million. I don't know how Ayton's going to do. Maybe Ayton's going to be great for the Lakers. Maybe Ayton's not going to click as well as most people thought he was going to be. Maybe Ayton's the same issues he was having in Portland he has in LA. Maybe there's a lack of drive. I don't know what it is. Or maybe DeAndre Ayton is a really good player and he's on a competitive team that's got Luka and LeBron, and it's wildly different than it was. Marcus Smart's been unhealthy for the last couple of years. Maybe he's still unhealthy, or maybe he's a real asset for the Lakers. It almost doesn't even matter what the current roster looks like today. It does matter. You got to have guys, Luka, LeBron, Austin. You got to have all these guys. But I think the most important thing that I'm walking away from the offseason is you still got expiring contracts. You still got Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves. I'm not telling you you're trading Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura, but you have the option to if you'd like to. You still have Gabe Vincent. You still have Maxi Kleber. You still have Dalton Knecht. You still have your first-round pick. You got all these assets. So I think that the only issue I have with Kendrick Perkins saying the Lakers are good enough as is, I think you need a lot of things to go your way. And typically, it's not baseball. I think in baseball, if you just get into the playoffs, honestly, kind of anything can happen over the span of a week. The Arizona Diamondbacks can find a way to get to the World Series. And by the way, that's 2 straight years they were like, we're going to go all in. We're going to go all in. And now they can't even make the playoffs and they're selling before the trade deadline. I'm just giving that as an example. That doesn't typically happen in the NBA playoffs. It doesn't typically happen in the NBA. It's not as random in the NBA. So do I like what the Lakers did this offseason? I do, but with the caveat of saying, well, they're going to have to do more. If the goal is going to be they want to compete for a championship this year. LeBron really wants to be competitive at this stage of his career. Luka's in the best shape of his life, and he's playing at an MVP level. You finally got some pieces that make sense for this upcoming season, all that stuff. If you want to apply all that stuff, I would still tell you that as is, I'm not picking the Lakers to get to the NBA Finals or get out of the Western Conference. But this is not the roster that has to get to the NBA Finals or has to get out of the Western Conference. All this roster has to do is be very, very competitive in the West, and then it's on Rob Pelinka's back with all the assets that he kept to make them more competitive. By the time you get to, December 15th is usually that date where now certain players can be traded. By the time you get to January 1st, there's a lot more chatter. By the time you get to February 1st, teams are making deals, and then obviously a week after that, the trade deadline will end. So I don't have an issue with Kendrick Perkins, what he's saying. My only problem is, as is, you need a lot of things to go your way. But fortunately for the Lakers, they didn't go all in the summer. They didn't go all in and they lost all their assets and they lost everything they had. And then all of a sudden, now this is the team that they're running with, the roster that they're running with, and they have no flexibility. I think one of the brilliant portions of the Lakers' summer so far, they still have a lot of flexibility and they still kept all their assets. So to me, I think there's a lot of value in that. I think Kendrick Perkins kind of, obviously going out of his way, and I know why he's saying it. He's putting a lot of stock in Luka, what he looks like, the motivation that he has, that what LeBron has done for 22 years of his career, how the Lakers found pieces that finally make sense, at least the roster does. But I don't think they're good enough as is. But I love the fact that they're going to have a lot of flexibility as we get a little bit closer to the season starting and then everything after that.
Yeah, I disagree with them. I don't think they're title contenders as is. I think they have enough holes in this roster still, particularly when you actually go through and you put together some lineups, which Ron Gutterman and I did yesterday. We did a rotation build. You run into the old familiar problem quite a bit of, do we have enough offensive guys? Do we have enough defensive guys on the floor at the same time? Is it the right mix
depth,
or not? And
I would say depth as well, reliability on the depth.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you have enough depth? Do you have enough, specifically, do you have enough switchy perimeter athletes that can do things for you? I think you're missing a few things here that's holding you back. But that said, I also think it's been a very successful summer. You look at the boxes that the Lakers needed to check. Obviously, we are very optimistic that a Luka Doncic signing extension that is coming in the next few days, and that is number one priority by far for the Lakers. Great, but then look at the other boxes they needed to check. They needed to add more defense. Okay, they bring in Marcus Smart. Jake LaRavia may indeed become one of the kind of two-way players the Lakers need. You definitely needed a starting center. Lo and behold, surprise, DeAndre Ayton is on the market, and you get him without having to give up any kind of draft capital. So you add these pieces, you move up in the draft. I thought this was really impressive. I don't think anybody else in the NBA moved up in the draft significantly the way the Lakers did. Moved up 19 spots using only cash. Didn't use any future assets. So you did all these things. You made these moves. Is it enough to say this team's a contender? No, but you did all of it while keeping all of the powder dry for the future. You still have Dalton Connect. You still have your future first you could trade. You still have your expirings. There is the potential now for the Lakers to get this team on the floor, see what's what. Yes, we can look at the team on paper and say, oh, they need more of this, this, and this, but they can actually get them on the court, figure out what it is that they need, and then they have the assets still available to go and make that move. So I think they've done a really, really nice job this summer while understanding that as is, I don't think this team is a title contender, but a move, maybe two, and they can be. And I think those moves are certainly possible given the assets that they still have available to them.
Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.